Welcome back, guys. This is King Weebs here, and this is what if Naruto had unlocked a secret bloodline. And we begin this wave with chapter 1, Konoha's newest power. Also, I will leave a link in the description below to, for you guys to go support the creator and go read it yourself if you'd like to. And anyway, we'll get straight into it. Chapter 1, Konoha's newest power. Naruto Uzumaki wolfed down his ramen at such speed no one thought was possible. He sat in his favorite seat in the local ramen shop Ichiraku's, since it was probably the only place that didn't kick him out. It had been like that all of Naruto's life. All his life, he had been ignored by others. The adults all looked down on him with scorn and anger in their eyes. The children followed their example. As a result, he was not only well liked by the children followed his example. As a result, he was not very liked by kids his own age, so he had no friends. On top of that, his parents died when he was born. Naruto was completely alone in this world. The only ones that he could call friends or family was Teuchi Ichiraku and his daughter Ayame, and his favorite teacher at the academy, Yuriko Umino. "Thanks for the ramen, old man," Naruto said with a big grin. "No problem, Naruto," Teuchi said with a smile. "And don't worry, the food's on the house tonight." Naruto smiled and said thanks. With that, Naruto got up and left. The old man shook his head sadly. Ayame hung her head, spelling mistake. As she saw the boy walked away. Unfortunately, Naruto didn't live in a good part of town. He had been forced to live in a dingy apartment for the past few months, since the orphanage kicked him out recently. Said apartment was in the red light district, where not many good people were. As Naruto made his way through the village, a few drunk civilians were coming up from a bar. "Little brat," the lead drunk said with a slur in his voice, walking down the street all proud and no. "Let's teach him that punk a lesson." Naruto was keeping an eye out when he heard the footsteps behind him. The boy started walking faster, and the footsteps sped up too. Pretty soon, the young blonde was running at top speeds. The blonde turned the corner to try to lose them, but wound up in a dead end. "All right, demon brat," the lead drunk said. Time for you to be punished." Naruto was 10, grabbed and pretty much beaten up. Oh, yo, the spelling mistakes are crazy. This says Naruto WS10 grabbed. Naruto was then grabbed and pretty much beaten hard. He yelled at the top, he yelled to them to stop, but they wouldn't listen and they wouldn't let up. After a few punches, the boy was thrown away to the ground. The boy groaned and whimpered as he rose from the ground. "Looks like the little monster is still moving," the second in command drunk said. Let's beat him down again." The drunks approached Naruto. What they didn't notice was that Naruto's eyes had changed. Instead of a cerulean blue, they were now a deep green, and they flashed with color. The drunks were about to converge on the child when he yelled, "Leave me alone!" As he yelled, a huge blast of wind shot up, forming a twister that knocked the drunks off their feet, out of the alley, and head first into a shop across the street. Meanwhile, an old man sat watching the incident through a crystal ball on his desk. He was shocked to see the power Naruto had just shown. He had also seen how he had been attacked. He sat back in the chair and said, "Anbu." A trio of masked ninja appeared in front of him. "Bring Naruto Uzumaki here," the old man said. "I want to have a word with him." All said in unison, "Hi, Hokage-sama." Back with Naruto. The blonde was staring at the three now unconscious men. "What did I just do?" He asked to no one in particular. At the moment, a trio of Anbu at that moment, a trio of Anbu appeared and quickly grabbed the boy before disappearing. They reappeared in the old man's office. As soon as they did, Naruto yelled, "Who, what, when, where, how?" "Oh, hi Gigi." The old man smiled. This was another person Naruto could call family. The old man had cared for him when he was really young, and helped him when he needed it the most. He was also the closest thing the blonde had to a grandfather. "Naruto," the old man said, "I want to discuss a recent incident where you were attacked by the drunks in the alley." Naruto rose an eyebrow and said, "I'm not in trouble, am I?" The old man shook his head and answered, "No, I'm just a bit interested in it. That's all." Naruto looked to one and said, "I don't know what that was. It's the first time it's ever happened." The old man rubbed his chin and said, "Naruto, do you know where Kekkei is?" The blonde shook his head and said, "No, the teachers at the academy always threw me out of class when we were discussing something important." The Hokage smacked himself in the forehead and said, "I can't believe this. A Kekkei is a mutation of one's DNA. The result is a dramatic increase in power that can have limitations or drawbacks. I believe you may have just activated one." Naruto looked at the old man and said, "Cool." The Hokage looked at Naruto and said, "Naruto, I have to ask, what were you doing in that part of town anyway?" Naruto lowered his head and said, "The old lady in charge of the orphanage threw me out. And she said something about demons being able to care for themselves." The old man in front of him gripped the arm of his chair so tightly it almost cracked. "I see," the old man said. "Naruto, I have realized something. You need proper guidance if you are to use this new power. I don't know that any of the teachers at the academy will be able to or willing to teach you if it means you getting stronger." Naruto hung his head as hard as he heard what the old man said. "Therefore, I am going to do it myself." The young boy looked up at the Hokage with bright eyes. "You mean you'll train me, Gigi?" Naruto asked. With sparkly eyes, the old man nodded. "Yatta!" The blonde cheered as he started doing a funny-looking happy dance. "Naruto," the old man said with an amused smile. Naruto stopped his dance and blushed in embarrassment. If the Anbu in the room weren't so well trained, they would have bursted out laughing at the sight of the boy dancing. "So when do we start?" Naruto asked excitedly. "Tomorrow," the old man said. "During training, you will stay at my clan complex." Naruto smiled happily as the old man. This is how a legend started. So the training Naruto was put through was pretty much torture, since Naruto's chakra coils hadn't fully developed yet. Sarutobi, the old man, put him through strength and endurance training. The blonde had to run for miles with very heavy weights on his legs, arms, and chest. He also had to do multiple strike exercises: 300 punches with both arms, 300 kicks with each leg, 80 push-ups, 50 squats, and onward. Naruto got used to one exercise and the number increased each time. When Naruto got used to one exercise, the number increased each time. Naruto also learned 3 fighting styles. The first was the Mikon Kobushi, Wild Fist. Instead of a set path like other styles, this one was irregular attacks and unorthodox methods to fight. What made it so useful was that the basics were always the same, while everything changed because whether the user could incorporate into style. What? The second was the hummingbird style, which utilizes hands and feet aiming at weak parts of the body, such as certain points in the body that could lead to paralysis and on the joints. The final style was the Asaiki Kobushi, Crusher Fist. While most styles relied on the hands and feet, this style utilized his hands, feet, knees, and elbows to attack an enemy. All 3 styles were fast and brutal. Naruto's chakra core was completely developed. Things got underway. Sarutobi was surprised when he found out that Naruto had very high reserves. For someone so young, it also meant that he would have trouble with certain things. The high chakra reserves made it hard for him to perform genjutsu, since they didn't need much chakra to perform. It also meant he wouldn't be able to perform a normal clone. Instead of, he taught Naruto the shadow clone, which required more chakra than normal. Thanks to Naruto's reserves, he could use this more than a normal shinobi and normal jonin, in fact. While training, Naruto used the chakra control exercises like tree walking, water walking, kunai balancing, and and leaf spinning to improve his control, which helped him greatly in the field. While training, Naruto realized that he gained a shadow clone's memories when he was destroyed. With the help of his clones, Naruto could train all the harder and learn much faster. This became a great help when training with his fighting styles and jutsu training. After 3 years of Naruto and Sarutobi began experimenting with all his bloodlines, Naruto found out that he had control over all the elements used in jutsu. He was able to instantly use them as a defense or offense. He also found that by focusing that nature chakra of a certain element, he could drastically increase the power of a jutsu. He decided to call this bloodline the Butai Shisho Keke Genkai, Elemental Master, Blood Limit, or Bloodline. He says blood limit there. The pair also found that Naruto's eyes changed color when he called a certain element. Green for wind, brown for earth, red for fire, blue for water, and white for light. What? Light. Wagwan. They also found out that Naruto could use sub-elementals when he did one eye. Well, when he did, one eye would change color for the element, and the other would change color for the other element. For example, if Naruto wanted to use lava, one eye would turn red and the other would turn brown, earth, and fire. While training, Naruto matured. The intense training made the blonde finally realize that that being a ninja was a serious thing. He couldn't be all loud and obnoxious when he was on the battlefield, otherwise he would get himself killed, or his team killed. After a few years, he managed to break himself of that. During jutsu training, Naruto took a deep interest in hand signs and what they meant. Naruto studied the subject of them for a long time. Eventually, Naruto started experimenting. After a few months of experimenting, the blonde, much to the shock of and delight of the Hokage, he started creating his own techniques. He even created special taijutsu moves that he could only pull off with the help of his bloodline. Naruto got a chance to learn seals while training as well. He learned storage seals, suppression seals, lock seals, and much more. During this, Naruto took an interest in weapons. To help his studies grow, Sarutobi took Naruto to a weapon store called the Iron Ninja. The store was covered from top to bottom with weapons. There, Naruto searched and found a few weapons. A Kusarigi Gamma that had a medium sized scythe on the end and the chain spike a medium-sized scythe on one of the ends of the chain, and the spiked weight on the other. A katana that had a black blade with a large edge and an amber in the hilt that was made to absorb perspiration. Don't know what that means. A large bow staff that a large bow staff with weights on each end, and a pair of tonfa that were painted black with a small with small black blades along its length, and the small weights on each end. Okay, so that was a lot of words that I never heard of. After 7 long years of training and a lot of shadow clones later, the civilians and ninja of Konoha were all sitting down in the stadium that was the center of the village. Most of them were wondering how and why they had been called to the stadium at this time. In the middle of the arena was Hayate Gekko, Maito Guy and Kakashi Hatake. After a few minutes and everyone had found themselves seats, found their seats, Sarutobi got up and said, "People of Konoha, for the past few years I have kept a secret from you. For the past few years, I have taken on a student." Surprised murmurs went through the crowd. "Today he will be tested to see if he is worthy of the rank of Jonin," the old Kage said. "First will be Maito Gai in Taijutsu, Hayate Gekko in Kenjutsu, and Kakashi Hatake in Ninjutsu. At least they will soon. Oh, sorry. At least they will all. They will as soon as he gets here. Okay, they will all test him as soon as he gets here. Sorry, that was a grammatical error of the author. At the moment, a pillar of flames shot up from the ground. The ninja gathered, including the recently graduated Genin, stared in awe. The flames died down, revealing a figure around the age of the new graduates. He was about 5'4" with spiky blonde hair. He wore a black jacket that had orange stripes running up his sleeves and forming an X on the back. Under the jacket, he wore black shirt, Anbu style pants, and blue sandals. They could see his face they could not see his face because over it he wore an Anbu style mask modeled after a fox. He also had bandages wrapped around his wrists and hands and his ankles. I'm not going to lie. The sentence says he also had bandaged wrapped around. So like that's not really English, but I'll correct it. With the new graduates, a puppy whimpered. The owner of said puppy looked down at his dog and said, "Where is it, boy?" The dog barked something, and the owner said, "Whoa." A guy in a grey coat with a high collar and sunglasses looked at the owner, and who wore a grey hoodie and had fan tattoos on his face, and said, "Where is it, Kiba?" Kiba looked at the boy and said, This guy has some pretty impressive strength, you know. It takes somebody pretty strong to make Akamaru tremble." Back at the arena, Maito Guy, a guy with the big eyebrows and a green jumpsuit and round eyes, stepped forward. "I shall test you first, my friend," Guy said. "Now, let us see how bright your flames of youth burn." The figure didn't answer. He just got into a taijutsu stance that Guy didn't recognize. Guy got into his own stance. The resident taijutsu master charged at the newcomer with incredible speeds. The man simply dodged to the left and threw out an arm. Due to his speed, the guy didn't stop in time and became the victim of a closed line. I'm not sure what that's meant to say. He says clothes and then line, but I'll say closed line. Guy crashed to the ground and jumped up almost immediately. He swung his leg around and in a sweeping kick that the figure jumped over. While jumping, he threw out a kick that Guy caught. He brought up his other leg, which Guy was able to catch. The blonde then shifted himself down and caught the ground with his hand, lifting his leg up, carrying Guy. The blonde had spun around, spinning Guy like a top, and threw him into the stadium wall. "Guy Sensei!" came a voice of a boy in the stands, who looked like Guy, only smaller. Guy pried himself out of the wall. Guy got back into his stance and charged again. This time the blonde spun around to avoid the kick aimed at him. He threw out a fist, which Guy caught in the back. Guy stumbled before turning around. The blonde was suddenly in front of him. The blonde then gave a quick punch to the stomach, and that made Guy double over. That was followed by an elbow in the face, a knee to the ribs. The boy's shin crashing into Guy's face, sending him flying. Guy rolled across the ground before stopping in a handstand and flipping himself up. Guy spat out some blood. "Unless you get serious," the blonde said, "I just might really hurt you. Bug eyes." Guy cracked his neck and then reached into his pants. Into his pant legs and pulled out the pair of weights. He dropped them and to the ground with a loud crash. The blonde cocked his head to the side. The blonde then from a hand sign and said release. He instantly felt lighter. Guy and the blonde vanished. After a few minutes, the sound of crashing filled the air. Multiple cracks on the ground formed as the two incredible fast ninja hit each other. After 5 minutes, everything stopped. The blonde and Guy reappeared. The pair now had multiple bruises. Guy rubbed his sore wrist. The blonde shook his hands as if as if he had just hit something very hard. "Sandaime must not have been lenient on your training," Guy said, panting. His only answer was from the only answer he got from the blonde was a shake of his head. "No." Guy smiled, flashing his bright teeth, and said, "This has been a valiant fight, my friend, but I must end this." Guy reached for the bandages wrapped around his arms. He slowly unwrapped them, and the blonde vanished from sight. Guy suddenly doubled over as he felt his opponent's knee slam into his gut. The blonde brought up his opposite leg and sent Guy flying upwards. The blonde's hands were then surrounded by miniature tornadoes. He slammed one foot on the ground, launched himself upwards. He went above the flying Guy and descended. As he fell, he yelled out, "Crashing hurricane!" The masked boy unleashed a flurry of combos that hit Guy in the joints and the shoulders, the arms, legs, ankles. The masked boy ended the fight by bringing up both arms and slamming them down into the taijutsu specialist's chest as they hit the ground, forming a crater. The blonde stood up. The blonde rubbed his sore hands and said brutality, "Winner, Fox." Everyone stared in shock as Konoha's taijutsu specialist was just beaten into the ground. The medics arrived and pulled Guy out of the ground and off to the medical ward. The mini me of Guy. Wait, what? The mini me of Guy ran off with his Jonin sensei. Hayate caught slightly before jumping up at the what? Hayate coughed slightly before jumping up and jumping down from the fighter's box to join the blonde in the arena. The Kenjutsu specialist drew his katana. The blonde undid his bandages and from his arm revealing 2 seals. He unsealed the one closer to his wrist, unsealing the black katana with the white edge and the amber in the hilt. The blonde got into a stance and pointed the blade at the sickly Jonin with one hand, and the two then ran at each other and met with a loud clang. The two swung their blades, meeting again and again with loud clangs and sparks. The two finally stopped and stood at a standoff. Guy was right, the sickly Jonin said with a smile. The Sandaime wasn't letting you off in training. The blonde just nodded in response. The two then broke apart. It continued like this for a while. Attack, parry, counter-attack, dodge, attack. After a few minutes, the routine gecko then formed a pair of shadow clones. 3 then charged at the blonde. Crescent moon dance. The blonde braced himself for the incoming attack. He simply held the blade parallel to his body and it met with a loud clang. There was a tense silence before Hayate's sword shattered in like glass. The blonde let out a low laugh and said, "This sword is capable of taking on Earth Chakra to harden. It looks like a lot of it hardened to that level. Now, let me show you my favorite sword technique." The blonde then focused chakra into his sword, causing the blade to become covered in wind. Hayate braced himself. It's himself just in time for the blonde to swing his sword and say, "Tornado slash." A twister shot from the blade. Hayate jumped out of the way and count of the incoming attack. But the blonde spun slightly, causing the attack to pivot and strike the man's arm. Hayate screamed in pain as he hit his arm. In pain as his arm was shredded. He fell to the ground with a thud. His arm was completely covered in cuts. The blonde vanished and reappeared in front of Hayate with a sword pointed at his neck. "Brutality," the blonde said as he looked down at Hayate. "Winner, Fox." The crowd roared again. "What is this guy?" Kakashi thought. "I couldn't copy his sword technique or that taijutsu style he used. It wasn't one style, it was more like he took more than one and put them together." Kakashi came down from the fighter's box and put away his little orange book as he was reading, and lifted his headband, which was covering his right eye, to reveal the red eye with the 3 common like marks in them. "So that's the Sharingan," the blonde said, with a raised eyebrow behind his mask. "I thought it would be more impressive or threatening." Kakashi simply scoffed, said, "Just because it doesn't look deadly doesn't mean it isn't." Fox cracked his neck and then his knuckles. Kakashi blurred through hand signs and said faster, "Fireball Jutsu." The silver-haired man fired a fireball jutsu at the blonde. The boy simply held out his hand and turned, diverting the flames. He spun around and sent the flames flying right back at the man. Kakashi dodged to the right to avoid the flames aimed at him. Naruto charged forward and drew back his arm, yelling out the hurricane shot. The blonde fired a powerful gust of wind that Kakashi took head on. The silver-haired Jonin was knocked off of his feet into the stadium wall. "I couldn't copy that either," he thought, as he pulled himself out of the wall. Kakashi then charged the blonde, who got into another stance. The blonde dodged to the right and unleashed a quick shot to the man's shoulder, disabling it. Kakashi stumbled before spinning on his heel. Then the blonde swung around, aiming his leg at the blonde's skull. Then Kakashi spun around, aiming his leg at the blonde's skull. He ducked under the kick before swinging his arm up and nailing the silver-haired man with an uppercut. Kakashi rolled across the ground and then rolled his shoulder and cracked it before going through more hand signs. Fire style, Dragon Fire Blast. The blonde focused chakra into his hands and yelled out Hydro Pump. Well, goddamn, bro, that's a Pokemon move, bro. A huge jet of water shot out of his hands, colliding with the fire dragon, and put out the flames. Steam rose into the air as the flames were put out. Kakashi stood up and up with his arm crossed. His guard was relaxed, but not completely down. Water style, drilling air bullet. Wind style, drilling air bullet. A bullet of wind shot through the air. Kakashi barely managed to jump out of the way. The bullet slammed into the wall, drilling a huge crater. Fox shouted a stream. Shot out of the steam and said, "Heat fists." The boy's hands burst into flames as he unleashed a combo that Kakashi was smart to dodge. Kakashi grabbed the boy in front, by the front of his jacket and threw him. As he did, Kakashi quickly went through the hand signs and held out his hand. Lightning started focusing in his palm. The sound of 1,000 birds filled the air. Kakashi then charged at the fox, yelling, "Chidori!" The fox focused chakra into his hand. A small spark danced on his hand. Kakashi's attack got closer and closer. Kakashi's eyes were wide in shock. His strongest attack was just stopped cold by some kid. That was the Chidori. The blonde asked. He scoffed and said, "Some assassination technique, noisy, and so little control over the element someone could easily detect. Since the attack is obvious, someone of your level or higher could easily catch it." The blonde rose his left hand and said, "This is an assassination technique." The focused chakra in his hand, bright sparks flashed, and his entire hand glowed with electricity. The only noise that it made was a silent buzz. The blonde drew back his fist and yelled, "Thundershot." The blonde slammed his fist into Kakashi's chest, blasting out the back. There was a gasp of terror from everyone watching. Then there was a poof, as Kakashi's burst into smoke, revealing a bisected log. God damn. Kakashi now stood a few feet away, breathing hard. That was really close, Kakashi thought as he calmed down his heart rate before the fight could continue. The Sandaime intervened and said, "That is enough." The old man vanished via body flicker. Oh, sorry, I lost my pointer. Sorry. The old man vanished via body flicker and then reappeared across from the two. He turned to Kakashi and said, "Kakashi, go. You need to relax after nearly getting killed like that." The old Kage turned to his student and said, "I must admit, you were right when you said you were Jonin level," Sarutobi said with a smirk. "I thought you were just exaggerating when you brought up the suggestion. Anyway, I must admit, I underestimated my own student. Not the first time. Anyway, remove your jacket." The blonde removed the jacket, showing his arms were surprisingly muscled. This made the girls present soon. The Kage reached into his robe and took out a vest with the kanji for Element Master on the back. He handed the vest to the boy, who put it on. "I officially congratulate you on your victory here, my student, and I am proud to welcome you amongst the ranks of the Jonin." The old man he says aid, I can't lie, the spelling mistakes are pissing me off, said with a proud smile, "Now, why don't you take off that mask? Show the people our young prodigy." I need to get to a meeting ASAP. The master boy nodded before reaching up and lifting his mask. As he removed it, people gasped. The blonde's eyes were dark blue, with slightly slit pupils and whisker marks that made his face stand out. The girls present blushed as they saw the new Jonin's face. "Welcome to the ninja world, Naruto Uzumaki," the Sandaime said with a smirk at the shocked looks from everyone. Alright, that was chapter 1. But I have a PWC meeting to get to. I'll continue reading in a second. Alright, so my Zoom meeting ended. Anyway, chapter 2, first mission. The Hokage had made many choices in his life. Some he regretted, some he was glad he made. Right now, he was regretting making Naruto a Jonin. The council had pretty much thrown a fit. They were demanding on how he had trained Naruto, what he taught him, and how he reached Jonin level so quickly. Naruto was there too, but he seemed to be ignoring the pains in the neck that the council members were. Finally, sick of all this noise, the old man slammed his hands on the desk and roared, "Enough!" The yell silenced the council and echoed through the council chambers for a second. The old man looked at Naruto, who wasn't doing anything. The blonde reached into his ears and pulled out a pair of earplugs. How come I've never thought of getting those? The old man thought. Hokage-sama. A fat council member said, I implore you to take back this boy's Jonin rank. Hiruzen looked at the councilman and said, I think not. Naruto earned his rank and he will keep it. Come to think of it, why do you even think you can revoke it? This is a shinobi matter, not a civilian one. The fat man huffed before plopping back into his seat. I fail to see why you would even want to train the boy in the first place, the councilwoman said. The old man looked down at the woman and said, the reason I trained him is because, you know. Why don't you show them? Naruto smirked and rose up from his seat before he quickly formed 4 clones. The original's eyes turned red, the other one's eyes turned green, another blue, and another white, and another brown. The original Naruto formed a large fireball in his hands. The one with green formed a twister in his hand. The one with white shot a bolt of lightning from his fingers to the wall. The one with blue eyes pulled water out of the air and whipped it at the desk, slicing it in half. And the one with brown slammed his fist on the ground, causing spikes of earth shooting up. The council stared in shock. On in particular was very shocked. Okay, that doesn't make sense. But anyway, he was one in particular was shocked. He says on. I make that mistake too. He was Hayashi Hyuga, the patriarch of the Hyuga clan. He had the Byakugan activated when he saw, and what he saw shocked him. There was no chakra in the elements in front of him. There were just the elements themselves. What's so special about this? Tsume Inuzuka and said with a raised eyebrow. Plenty of ninja, no elemental manipulation. Hayashi looked at the woman and said, that's because there is no chakra in those elements. He's manipulating elements. He's actually controlling. He's not manipulating elements. He's actually controlling them. The council gasped loudly. Now then, the old Kage said, before the councilman could say something. The other reason I called this meeting is because I was going to reveal the boy's heritage. Another particular arrogant councilman said, what heritage? He's an orphan. Sarutobi shook his head and he said, he does have a heritage. Look at him. You know what, Shikaku. Just tell us. The head of the Nara clan muttered something under his breath and said, it's obvious, he's the son of Minato Namikaze and Kushino Uzumaki. Everyone gasped. Immediately, the civilian part of the council started shouting denials. The Sarutobi clan simply covered their eyes and ears, while Shukaku Nara promptly fell asleep to try ignore the annoying and troublesome people. Naruto finally got sick of the shouting, since he didn't use his earplugs. He didn't put his earplugs back in. Quickly focused his chakra onto his mouth and throat, and roared, "Enough already!" The deafening yell echoed through the air and actually knocked a few people in front of him out and off their feet as well. Finally, they shut up, Hiruzen said, with a look of total relief on his face. What? Tsume Inuzuka yelled, as the freakishly loud yell had messed up her hearing. I suggest we'll put him on the CRA immediately, a pink-haired councilwoman said. I believe that I may be able to. She was cut off by when Naruto said, I'm not sure if I'll be in the CRA. Even I am. I am not going to be tricked into some loveless marriage. I don't know what the CRA is. Clan Rebuilding Academy or something? I don't know. With nothing else to say to the idiots that sat before him, he got up and left. Meeting over, the Kage said, as he rose up from his seat. Later, Naruto sighed as he walked through the village. So far, he had seen many girls give him some crazy stares when their eyes were in the shape and some of their eyes were in the shape of hearts, while some of them were in the shape of stars. And all the while, all noticed that some of the younger children were looking at him with looks of idolization. He was glad that he made an impression on the kids, but he was still upset and angry. No, upset with the angry glared, with some of the parents glaring at him. Despite some minor annoyance, Naruto was happy to be a Jonin. He was closer to his dream. He decided to celebrate with his favorite spot in town. Naruto walked into the Ichiraku stand and saw Iruka was sitting there alongside Ayame, who was talking to him. Soon the ramen chef looked at Naruto with a huge smile. When a huge smile covered his face, the woman charged at Naruto and hugged him tight. I can't believe you already are Jonin. The girl squealed. Wait, there was something else I wanted to tell you. All right, the woman brought back her hand and slapped him hard. Do you have any idea how worried I was? The girl yelled. When you didn't come in for ramen the next day, I really got worried. Naruto recovered from the slap. Sorry, Ayame. The girl and said, sorry, Ayame. The girl then hugged him again and said, don't scare me again. Naruto smiled as he hugged the young ramen chef back. He looked down and noticed something. There was a ring on her finger. Ayame, what is that? Naruto asked curiously. You like it? She asked, showing the ring off. I got it from my new boyfriend. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Ayame shifted her gaze. Naruto followed the gaze straight at Iruka. No way! Naruto yelled. When did this happen? Ayame blushed and and said, a few weeks ago, some punk was trying to hit on me when I rejected him, and he got a little forceful. Iruka was walking by and became my knight in shining armor for a moment. After a while, we would end up dating. Naruto smiled happily and said, I'm glad to see you guys are happy together. While I'm here, Ayame-chan, I'll take the normal. The ramen girls smiled happily and said, 8 extra large miso ramen, 2 extra large pork ramen, coming right up. Oh, this guy eats a lot. As soon as Ayame entered the kitchen, Naruto grabbed Iruka by the collar and drifted him up off the floor. I don't care if Teochijiji gave you the speech already, the blonde growled. If you as much make Ayame-chan whimper in sorrow, or you hurt her in any way, I will tear your heart out. Iruka nodded quickly. At that moment, Ayame came out with a trail of ramen balls. Naruto stopped threatening Iruka. Naruto smiled at her and said, "What kind of little brother would I be if I wasn't overprotective?" After Iruka recovered from his near heart attack, and Naruto quickly downed his ramen, the new Jonin left the ramen stand. Iruka shuddered and said, "He's a lot scarier now now." When he was a loudmouth. Ayame only giggled at her future husband's misfortune. Naruto was currently walking through the village. To be more specific, he was walking through the training grounds. He was currently looking to see if he could find any of the other Jonin. He was walking through the training grounds when he noticed a huge forest that was surrounded by a fence with barbed wire. Naruto heard loud noises and growls coming from the forest, which all honestly looked more like a jungle. The blonde stood there for a moment until he nearly hit. He was nearly hit by a barrage of kunais. The blonde's eyes flashed green and a pulse of wind knocked them all away. "You're that new Jonin, brat," a female voice said. Naruto turned, and a purple-haired woman with her hair done up in a pineapple-like shape. She wore an orange skirt, sandals, and shin guards. A long brown trench coat. Under the trench coat, she wore a mesh fishnet shirt. This is shit. I forgot her name. Fuck's sake, I had to search up Naruto Forest of Death teacher. It's article. Anyways, Naruto raised an eyebrow and said, "Brat, you're talking to a guy who kicked a lot of butt today." The woman rolled her eyes and said, "You think that intimidates me? I've seen plenty of people who get their butts kicked. Naruto narrowed his eyes at the woman and said, is there a reason that you're trying to irritate me? Uncle smirked and said, I want to see how much it takes to make you snap, big man. Uzumaki-san, the Anbi said, you have been summoned by the Hokage. The Anbi vanished. Naruto looked at Mitarashi and said, sorry, little one, but we're going to have to save our little verbal joust. Don't know what that is, for another time. The blonde vanished in a flash of fire. The woman stared at the spot and smirked. I have a feeling this is going to be a start of a beautiful friendship, Anko said to herself, or at least it will be one. It will be once he gets back. In the Hokage office, Naruto appeared and in a sudden flash of flames. He looked around and to see the Hokage sitting in his desk alongside Tsume Nizuka. Well, what was wearing an old Jonin outfit? Oh wait, what? Who was wearing an old Jonin outfit? And a scarred wolf. Okay, I'm confused. Naruto raised an eyebrow. I do too. And said, already? Can't you get someone else to do it? The old man looked at Naruto and said, I would, but some of my best are in the hospital right now. Besides, you need to get some field experience. The old man took out a file, and said, now, yesterday we sent Miss Inuzuka's daughter, Hana Inuzuka, on a mission to take care of a few bandits. Unfortunately, the force was larger than we expected. She was captured. We haven't received any ransom of any kind, so we have to pursue them. Presume that she is merely there to be used. Naruto growled slightly. He heard of this and he thought it was a complete heinous act. Your mission, the old Kage explained, is to rescue Hana Inuzuka and destroy all the bandits in the camp. You will be aided by Tsume Inuzuka because 1. It's her daughter, 2. She wants to get out of her house. Naruto gave a questioning glance to the Inuzuka matriarch, who said, I don't like feeling cooped up. Besides, it feels good to sharpen my claws again. Naruto shrugged and said, I accept. With that, the pair and dog ran off. A few hours later, Naruto, Tsume and Kuromaru, Tsume's dog, crouched in the bushes a little ways from the bandit camp. Kuromaru sniffed the air and said, I can smell them. Hana and the triplets are here. Naruto looked at Tsume and said, he can talk? Tsume answered, yeah, he can talk. You get used to it after a while. Naruto nodded and said, so how are we going to do this? We can't just barge in and take Hana back. It would be suicide. Tsume nodded in agreement. We have to do something to disperse them. Tsume said, make them panic. It would be easier to pick them off after that. Naruto rubbed his chin. Naruto then snapped his fingers and said, I have an idea. He whispered into Tsume's ear his plan. Tsume smirked at the sound of Naruto's plan. Then again, it would be crazy if he wasn't the most unpredictable ninja in the village. Meanwhile, in one of the tents, Hana Inuzuka struggled against her bandits. One sec. Alright, it was supposed Hana Inuzuka struggled against her bandits. Oh, bindings, sorry. It was supposed to be a simple mission. Instead, she gets pulled into a this camp by a bunch of low-life bandits. Now, here she was, tied to a chair and being laid at by a bunch of good-for-nothing perverts. If she wasn't tied up right now, she would show them how she became part of the main members of the APA, Anti-Perverts Association. Okay, crazy. Next to her were her three partners. They were currently hogtied, with their mouths tied shut with a rope. You might as well give up, little woman, a gruff voice said. She looked up to see the reason behind her mission going south. He was tall, dark-skinned, a burly man. He was about 6 feet tall. That's kind of stereotypical, you know what I'm saying? With short black hair and bulging muscles. Crazy. He also had a thick black beard. This is Blackbeard, I swear down. He wore a black muscle shirt that showed off his physique and black cargo pants, as well as a holster on the left side of his belt. Wrapped around his arm was an Iwa headband that had a long gash running across it. His name was Kaiser Mashimoto, aka the Burning Fist, the Flaming Rage. He was an A-rank missing nin from Iwa. You know, girl, you should be honored, the former Iwa nin said as he walked forward. Not very many girls catch my eye. You should consider it a privilege. My new slave. Okay, that's crazy. Hana growled and spat in his face. Kaiser wiped the spit off of his face. When he made another move to torture her, Kaiser reluctantly pulled away from Hana and stormed out of the tent as she kicked him. What he saw shocked him to his core. In front of him was an entire bandit squad. He saw his entire bandit squad being destroyed. The ground beneath them was turned into a huge, turned into huge roots that rose up and pierced the bandits through the chest. The branches in the trees came to life and shot out, piercing even more bandits. The dark voiced raw, "Human scum, you dare defile my home." The bandits shook with fear as the voice seemingly came from everywhere. "You destroy my children, violate the earth, and the blood of the innocent. With the blood of the innocent, for that you will die." The bandits ran in terror, trying to cover in the trees. The only reason they tried was because some of them were drunk from a night of partying. The others who tried were just really, really panicked. The bandits who tried hiding in only screamed even louder as they were torn apart by their own cover. Kaiser, however, was not fooled by this display. He sensed chakra running through the roots and branches. He sent out a pulse of chakra and found the source. What he didn't notice, though, were 4 figures sneaking amongst the attacking roots. He quickly went through the sides and yelled, "Fire style, great fire cannon." The Iwan missing nin then fired a huge blast of fire from his mouth. The flames signed the roots nearby. Or singed. Okay, that does not make sense. Anyway, destroyed the roots nearby. The flames shot forward as they closed in the flames. Illuminated the hiding Naruto, whose eyes were brown and blue. Oh shit, the blonde yelled out as he saw the fireball. His eyes immediately changed red. The roots stopped moving and the flames disappeared around Naruto. The sparks of lit the tree with a small fire that was steadily growing. "So, a little Konoha has come to save the little doggy girl." Kaiser laughed. "I hate to tell you this, punk, but I'm not giving her up." Kaiser's arrogant, smug mood instantly changed when Naruto's face illuminated by the slowly spreading flames around him. His smug smirk was replaced with a look of absolute fear. He slowly backed away from the whiskered blonde. "The Yondaime," he said, with terror obviously in his voice. "It's impossible. You're supposed to be dead." Naruto let out a dry chuckle and said, "Though I'm glad to see there is a resemblance between me and the fourth, I am not him. I'm his son." Kaiser instantly calmed down and said, "So you are just a Yondaime wannabe. This is going to be easy." The missing nin charged, drawing back his arm. Naruto got into a hummingbird stance and prepared for combat. The missing nin threw a quick punch that Naruto was able to dodge quickly and took a shot to the man's shoulder. There was a loud crack as his shoulder was pierced by the chakra-enhanced strike. He growled in pain and as he spun around and tried to kick Naruto away, who merely parried with the blow with his elbow and unleashed a quick and powerful combo on the man's midsection. Naruto quickly delivered a vicious roundhouse kick to Kaiser's head, knocking him off his feet, while the two fought. Tsumi snuck out Oh, sorry. Tsume snuck out of the tent with her daughter and her 3 partners in tow. During the whole forest demon fiasco, Tsume snuck in with Kuromaru under the cover of the attacking routes. Luckily for her, when Kaiser sent out a chakra of pulse, she had hidden hers well enough to slide just under his radar. While Naruto was fighting Kaiser, she freed her daughter, and the dogs were now getting and the dogs and was now getting the heck out of the way. Naruto saw the 2 Nezuko get away. He smirked to himself before unleashing his brutal combo that broke Kaiser's nose. The man jumped back and roared in a nasally voice. "Oh, you little punk, I'll get you for that one." Naruto cracked his neck and said, I'd like to see you try." The man quickly went through hand signs. Naruto's eyes turned green quickly before he whipped out a kunai and threw it. The wind enhanced the tool which cut through Kaiser's shoulder. The man screamed in pain as his arm was sliced off. Naruto's eyes turned white and said, "This is a new jutsu I've been working on. I'd say now is a good time to, for a field test, and you're the perfect subject." Naruto's eyes flashed white as he blurred through hand signs. He looked at Tsume and Hana and a few dogs and said, "You might want to get out of the way." The serious tone he used made the group listen to him and run for it. Lightning formed around his hands. Naruto rose his hand as the electricity soon covered his entire arm. The blonde then roared, lightning style, ultimate technique, Thor's hammer. Naruto slammed his fist into the ground, and the result was an electric shockwave that spread out far and wide around him. Kaiser, who was frozen in pain, didn't move an inch. The lightning wave hit him hard, making him scream in absolute agony. The evil missing Nin was soon just a pile of burnt flesh. The ground right beneath Naruto was covered in some of the area around him was completely turned into glass. Naruto panted hard and said, "Fatality." Naruto surveyed the damage and said, "Nice effect. I still have to learn to deal with the chakra drain though." Nearby, Hana and Tsume and their canine companions all had their jaws on the floor. Note to itself, never get on that kid's bad side, Hana thought. Whoa, that move. What a move, Tsume thought. Naruto then made his way back to the stunned group. His eyes were still glowing slightly with the white chakra, and a few sparks of lightning were still flashing around him. Hana blushed and immediately thought, "No, bad Hana, you already have a boyfriend." Tsumi, however, was thinking, "Wow, what a man. Wait, what am I thinking? He's a lot younger than me. Still, pretty cool." Naruto approached the 2 girls, who were still in the middle of their inner monologue, and clapped his hands in front of them. "Sorry for the interrupting your mental yelling," and the whiskered voice said, "but we need to get back to Konoha." As they were about to leave, Tsume brought something up. "Hey kid," the Inuzuka matriarch said, "aren't you going to try and get that guy's bounty?" Naruto raised an eyebrow and said, "The guy actually had a bounty. I guess being a young Jonin has its benefits." Naruto took a scroll out from under his Jonin vest and said, "I decided to take the man's head instead. I figured that since he was a missing nin, he might have a bounty on his head." "Good thought, huh?" Tsume nodded, said, "Good thought. I think he was an A rank or so. You'll get a lot of real for the guy." Naruto smiled an unusual foxy grin and said, "Thanks, Tsume-chan." And he turned away from the woman, just in time to miss the slight blush on her face. There's no way this is a ship between Kiba's mom and Naruto. I refuse. I noticed it, however, and thought I don't know if he's into older women or not, but if the little runt hurts my mum, I will personally claw his little uh his little eyes out. Naruto felt a sudden chill and resisted the urge to shudder. Anyways, that was chapter 2. Hope you all enjoyed it. I will be covering the next few chapters soon enough. If this video gets 100 likes, I will be uploading part 2 straight away the next day, after this video is obviously uploaded. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed it. Please take care, stay safe. This was the King of Weebs. It is February 2nd I'm recording this. And anyways, now, my ducklings, you're all dismissed. And peace.